The Jovel Stone Shopping Mall is a large shopping mall with 9 levels. The ground floor holds all the shops of the shopping mall, while the other higher floors have been bought out by businesses. The 5th floor, for example, is a large medical clinic consisting of a carpeted lobby and several rooms for doctors and patients. The 7th floor is a tutoring center complete with a lobby, seating lounge, and several rooms for students. The higher levels aren't like a usual mall with vast spaces and multiple shop fronts. The levels are accessible from a set of twin elevators that are constantly filled with people going up and down between floors. While the elevators are the main form of travel between floors, there is still a fire escape that crisscrosses through all the floors and leads to the ground level as an option during emergencies. The fire escapes are designed so that the doors to the fire escape open from the outside, but can be locked to not open from the inside. This helps keep people out of closed levels, as some levels close at different times to others. The 9th floor of the shopping mall has been closed for as far back as I can remember. It was never bought by a business, and the elevators have been programmed so they do not go to that floor, even when prompted to. There have been several rumors and ghost stories circulating about that floor ever since the mall was built, but as far as I know, no one has ever been on that floor. Imagine my surprise when the elevator doors opened up to a dark lobby and the smooth female voice of the elevator stated, "9th floor." Chills ran up my spine immediately as I stared into the dark carpeted lobby of this mysterious floor. Small beams of sunlight poured into the hallway from the windows at the side of the building, doing a poor job of illuminating the lobby. I frantically pressed the close doors button on the elevator, but the doors did not move. The elevator was stuck. I stepped out into the lobby, having no choice but to take the fire escape down to get out of this creepy floor. My gut instinct shouted at me to quickly run and get out of the floor, but perhaps the paralysis of fear and morbid curiosity kept me on that floor for longer. I started to look around and noticed that to my left the lobby split off into 2 dark hallways as the ceiling lights were not turned on. To my right there was a vacant reception desk with the logo of a dentist center hanging just above the chair on the wall. The name on the logo made the hair on the back of my neck stand up and sent never-ending chills down my spine. Botched dentistry. Subconsciously, I started to back away from the empty receptionist desk as fresh fear flooded into my mind. It was at that moment that I knew I needed to desperately get out of this floor. On most floors in the shopping mall, the fire escape was located in one of the hallways. I stared at the dark hallways extending on either side at the left of the lobby and knew that they were my only way out. I walked to the far end of the lobby in order to go down one of the hallways. My senses were on full alert, and every little shadow made me jump. I stared down both the left and right hallways. They were both pitch black, and I could only see the faint outline of a door at the end of both hallways. It was apparent that one of those doors would be a fire escape, while the other would most likely lead to toilets or another room. I decided to go with the left hallway and pulled my phone out of my pocket to use its flashlight. My flashlight illuminated the hallway in an eerie dim white light, and I started to walk into it, hoping that the fire escape would be at the end. My heart nearly popped out of my chest when I heard a faint electric wire coming from one of the thick closed doors beside me in the hallway. As a quick impulse, I instantaneously turned off my flashlight, leaving me engulfed by the darkness. A bright light came from the little windows in one of the doors in the hallway. The electric wire seemed to emanate from that door as well. My breathing was shallow and panicked as I slowly tiptoed to the door and put my eyes up to the window to see what was inside. What I saw next made me nearly empty the contents of my stomach on the carpet. Inside, a pale man in a white lab coat, goggles, and a surgical mask was operating on a patient sitting on a usual dentist's chair. It seemed like a normal scene in a dentist room, except the dentist was holding an electric saw. He brought it down to the unconscious patient's mouth. Blood and gore splattered on his pristine white coat, staining it as the dentist continued to slowly saw from the corner of the mouth to the side of the face. The patient remained still as the dentist worked. Once he had finished, he produced a plier from a tray beside him and began to pull the teeth out of the patient's now exposed jaw. The dentist remained calm as he removed each tooth and placed it on the tray beside him. Suddenly, I dropped my phone on the floor from the pure shock of what I was seeing. It all happened in slow motion. My phone slowly slipped out of my hands as I peeked into the little window. It lightly bumped against the door, making an audible thud, and then landed flat on the carpet. I froze in terror as the dentist turned around to face me. We met eyes for the briefest of moments as I backed away from the door. The dentist moved twice my speed towards the door and opened it. In his hand, he held his wireless electric saw, still covered in blood and bits of the patient's flesh. I strangely could sense the dentist smiling under his mask as his eyes contorted and narrowed. "Your turn," he exclaimed as he took a step towards me. His deranged and emotionless voice broke me out of my trance, and I started to run the fastest I had ever run in my life, to the right hallway. The right hallway was my only bet at escaping, as I could no longer continue down to the end of the left hallway since the dentist covered it. As I ran down the right hallway, the dentist was at my heels, occasionally turning on the saw in anticipation. It was at that moment I realized that, if the fire escape was not located at the end of the hallway, I would face a fate worse than I could imagine. The end of the hallway came closer and closer. As I ran, into my absolute relief, the door indicated its use through the large bold text "Fire Escape" painted on it in green. I quickly pushed the door open and came into the fire escape. Simultaneously, I shut the door and barricaded it with my body to prevent the dentist from getting in. As I caught my breath, the door shook and threatened to break as the dentist rammed himself against the door in an effort to open it. Pure adrenaline surged through my veins as I pushed the door with all my body weight for dear life. "Well, I'll just wait then. You'll have to leave that door and run down the fire escape eventually," he stated in a relaxed tone from the other side of the door. I knew he was right as I examined my surroundings once more. I'd never been in the fire escape. It was simply a collection of turning staircases leading to each floor. Since I was on the highest floor, there was no way to trick the dentist by going up or down. Sooner or later, I'd have to make a run for my life down those stairs. I just hoped I could turn corners and run downstairs faster than that dentist. I was about to make a run for it when a brilliant idea came to me. I reached for my pants pocket when it suddenly occurred to me that I had left my phone back in the hallway. And so, I sprung forward and started to run down those stairs the fastest I've ever done in my life. Almost immediately, the dentist came out behind me and started to run down the stairs. It was difficult running down the stairs fast. I had to be careful not to trip and fall, as that would definitely mean my demise, but I had to also run faster than the dentist or else he'd catch up to me. I struggled to keep that balance as the dentist started to gain on me. I was down to the 5th floor by now when suddenly I lost control of my left foot and started to fall down the stairs. My fall was short, as I was at the end of the staircase and I fell on the flat ground just before the next turn. My whole body was aching as the dentist turned the corner and started to make it down the staircase directly towards me. Once he saw that I had fallen down, he slowed his pace. I stared at his blood-stained coat as he walked down the stairs. I tore my eyes off him for a slight moment and noticed that the door to level 5 was right beside me. In a moment of desperation, I pulled at the door to level 5 before realizing that it was locked from the inside. The fire escape doors were designed so that they could only be opened from the floor, not the fire escape. The dentist let out a loud, cruel laugh as he saw me struggle. He had made it to the staircase and was now happily running the saw. He suddenly bent down and attacked me with the saw. I held up my hand in defense as a last resort. Burning pain seared through my palm as the flesh was ripped apart by the sharp, jagged edge. This pain filled me up with energy, and I surprised the dentist by kicking him between the legs. He howled in pain and backed away, giving me enough time to get up and run down the next flight of stairs. The dentist gave up chase somewhere down the fire escape, and I safely made it back to the ground floor with only a deep, open cut on my palm. Blood was dripping steadily from my hand as I walked into daylight again. I had narrowly made it out. That was months ago. My palm still has scar from the incident, and I had to get a new phone. I haven't told anyone about what happened, but today I don't feel safe anymore.